What if everything you thought you knew about the music industry's power players was just the surface? In a courtroom where rap legends' names are whispered like secrets, a shocking claim emerges: an alleged affair between Beyoncé and the late Pimp C, buried until now, and tied to none other than Diddy. What unfolds isn't just about rumors, it's about fear, silence, and a game of power where speaking up could end your career, or worse.
So with that being said, let's go back. You had mentioned Pimp C earlier. With that being said, did Pimp C really have a tape of somebody in the industry that would break the internet? You look like you done seen it, Marvin. Marvin seen it.
Tell him who it is.
Hey, man, tell him who it is. I wish we still trying to find out who was in this Pimp C tape.
All I can tell you, there was a famous R&B chick, and it was a guy that was getting money at the time. And, you know, Pimp, he used to be in the studio. And every now and then he'd have a camcorder, so he was able to get some footage. And he wanted to do something with the footage, but I don't know why he didn't do nothing with it, but if I could have got a hold of that tape, I'd be a billionaire, man. Whoever it was, they had to kill me, man. I know TMZ would have paid a bank for that one, man. But yeah, it is a tape, and if you read the comments, a lot of people figured out. Because, you know, people that was in Houston at the time, they know who was a little loose, you know, as a Montana goose. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, they also know who was having money at the time. So it's not really hard to figure out. But, you know,
just tell us. Just say the name.
But no, the only reason why I want to tell it is because Pimp C is not here. So therefore, I'm respecting his wishes. If he wanted to get out, maybe he would have put it out. Maybe he might have had to deal with the situation. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe him.
The way you make it sound like it was gonna be a big deal.
Yeah, it was a big deal. A big deal.
The Diddy trial has shaken the foundations of the music business. Accusations of corruption, coercion, and covert surveillance are flying, with multiple high-profile names dragged into the chaos. But buried beneath the layers of legal drama is something far more explosive: an unconfirmed but persistent rumor about a private tape involving Pimp C and Beyoncé. Allegedly, this tape was a ticking time bomb, dangerous not only because of its content, but because of who it could hurt. It's said to have the potential to destroy careers, reputations, and perhaps even marriages. And now, whispers of its existence are being used in legal maneuvering behind the scenes. In most cases, such stories would be dismissed as conspiracy-fueled nonsense. But this one refuses to die. It's not just internet speculation. It's been hinted at by insiders, including Pimp and Ken during an interview on the Ugly Money podcast. And the courtroom leak during Diddy's case gave it a second life when prosecutors described a network of blackmail involving high-level artists and compromising materials.
You and Pimp C were close.
Very close.
Very close. I interviewed Bun B recently, and he told the story about how Tupac almost stopped Pimp C from doing Big Pimpin'.
Tupac was already dead at that time, right? So Pimp in 2000, Tupac was dead. Pimp used to have a picture on his wall of Tupac. And whenever you would ask him something that required deep thought, he would look at the picture. And we'd be like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm asking Pac what he think. He was very, very aligned in with the personality of Tupac, not really the musician, but the character of Tupac, the personality, and how he carried himself as a man in the world and in the culture. And if it was something that Pimp thought that Tupac wouldn't do, Pimp wouldn't do it.
Well, I do remember him saying, my ears hearing Pimp C say, I ain't fucking with nobody that didn't fuck with Tupac. So that was one of his reasons why he wasn't gonna do the record with Jay-Z.
Amidst all this, Too Short's name has surfaced, not as a participant, but as a witness. a long-standing associate of Pimp C, and someone who's moved in the same elite circles as Beyoncé and Jay-Z, Too Short finds himself dangerously close to the storm. He hasn't said much publicly, but fans have noticed subtle signs, a shift in his collaborations, cryptic comments in interviews, and a visible withdrawal from certain media outlets. Those who followed Too Short's career closely know he's never shied away from speaking his mind. So why now, when asked about this topic, is he playing it safe? It's raised a troubling question. Is Too Short protecting himself or protecting someone else? The alleged video, if it exists, is more than just tabloid bait. It's a potential tool of manipulation. In an industry where image is everything, a tape involving someone as powerful as Beyoncé would be nuclear. According to some sources, Pimp C may have come into possession of this video during his tumultuous final years. Others claim it never existed, that the whole thing was fabricated to destroy reputations. But insiders from Houston to Hollywood have heard the story. It's the kind of rumor that never makes headlines, but everyone knows it's out there. And Too Short, he was in those rooms, not involved, but observant. He's always been that guy, close enough to power to benefit from it, distant enough to survive when things implode. Some say he's the last real historian of the streets who hasn't sold out to the corporate machine. Others say he's just another piece on the board, playing defense. But the fact remains, he knows something. And in this trial, knowledge might be the most dangerous possession of all.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing shit different. He lined up D. Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one.
When Diddy's name hit the courtroom docket, most assumed it would be about finances, maybe drugs, maybe tax evasion. But what exploded in the following weeks was something far darker. Testimonies started unspooling a web of manipulation, allegations of secret files, hush money, and yes, private tapes. Too Short has not been accused of any wrongdoing, but his name popped up in leaked deposition summaries as someone relevant to private knowledge of material suppressed from public view. That's legal talk for he's seen something and he won't say what, but why wouldn't he speak up? That's the haunting part. In an industry where silence is often the safest option, Too Short's refusal to comment says more than a press release ever could.
Dame Dash opened up his checkbook, could have checked for $1 million. I'm like, whoa. He like, I was like, is this for sure? He was like, nah. He said, we want to use UGK. I was like, what? He's like, we want to with your boys. That's right. So I immediately picked up the phone and called Pimp C. Because all I was trying to get was 100,000. When Dame cut that $1 million, I called Pimp on the phone like, yo, Pimp, and him and Jamal was in the house. And I could hear a tussle or some type of confrontation, right? And I'm like, calm down, bro. Y'all calm down, Pimp.
I ran up the cable bill.
They was fighting. Okay, they was fighting like hard. And I'm like, Pimp, stop whatever you doing right now. I told you what's going down with Jamal when you moved him up in there. I said, but right now, I got $1 million check for you. And all we wanted was 100,000. I was just like, who is that with? I said, with Rockefeller. He was like, what? I was like, yeah. He was like, I'm watching Dan with the checkbook, he writing it out. He was like, ain't that with, over there with Jay-Z? I was like, yeah. He was like, man, tell him to take that check and go give it to Tupac Mama, man.
Pimp C died in December 2007, found lifeless in a hotel room. The official cause? Complications related to sleep apnea and promethazine. But friends and collaborators told a different story. They say he was acting paranoid in the months prior, canceling appearances, avoiding certain people, and warning others to watch their backs. It wasn't long after he'd supposedly hinted to others that he had dirt on major players in the industry. Whether that included the infamous tape, no one knows for sure. But his sudden death left questions. Questions that, nearly 2 decades later, are still unanswered. Beyoncé has built her career on perfection, a meticulously managed public image, almost no scandals, and a fiercely loyal fan base. Her influence reaches beyond music, into politics, fashion, and social movements. To suggest she was involved in a scandal of this magnitude isn't just bold, it's potentially dangerous, which is why the rumor has lasted so long. Not because it's proven, but because it's forbidden. Beyoncé's camp has always denied any connection to Pimp C outside of professional respect. Jay-Z has never acknowledged the whispers, and yet, insiders continue to talk, mostly off the record, but with just enough conviction to keep the story alive. Too Short has always thrived where others couldn't. He outlived the boom bap era, the crunk era, the ringtone rap era. He adapted without changing. But in recent years, his silence around the tape and around his deeper industry ties has added a mysterious layer to his persona. Some fans think he's holding on to a story that would break the internet. Others believe he's simply being smart, keeping his head down as bigger players make bigger moves. What's certain is this: if Too Short ever decides to talk, people will listen. Because unlike gossip blogs or anonymous tweets, Too Short has credibility, and he's got stories nobody else is willing to tell. Too Short's role in this saga may never be fully revealed. Maybe he's protecting people. Maybe he's protecting himself. But as this trial drags on, one thing becomes clear. The truth isn't always in the headlines. Sometimes it's hiding in the pauses, in the people who choose not to speak. And Too Short, he's the king of the strategic pause. If you're into real stories the industry doesn't want you to hear, this is just the beginning. Hit that like button if this video opened your eyes, and subscribe so you never miss a deep dive like this one. We're pulling back the curtain on hip-hop's untold stories, and trust me, what's coming next will blow your mind. Subscribe now, stay curious, stay dangerous.